Ian, right here.
How are we?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good to be ready to get back in here and go again.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a kind of a wild few months and everything. Just to be here, do you almost feel like at peace because this is where you feel most comfortable is fighting fight weeks?
It's where I'm happiest. I wouldn't say at peace. It's where I'm happiest. I love to fight. I love to go in here and do what I do best, which is have fun and let my weapons fly. And unfortunately, last time around, I didn't get to do that, and that upset me. That got me emotional, but unfortunately, illnesses are a part of life.
Yeah. Has the past few months helped you mature at all in a way? Like whether it's mentally or emotionally? Do you feel like you're kind of a different guy after just everything that's happened in the cage, out of the cage, through camps, all this stuff?
I don't know if mature would be the right word. I guess you could say it that way, but I'd say it's more just about understanding what's important in life and pulling the people around you closer and giving the ones that care for you, the ones that love you, the ones that help you every single day to be the best you possibly can be, to give them your love, give them your time, give them your respect, and no one else.
And I know, if you hadn't fallen ill, you would have shown up to the media day, the press conference, all that stuff last time. But there was so much, outside noise that time. It doesn't feel the same as we kind of go through these few days. Have you noticed a difference at all in kind of the public sentiment maybe towards you?
I have no time for people's opinions. I don't give it any time, any focus. I have a job to do. This is what I love to do. This is what I signed up for. This is what I wanted to do with my life. And I'm not letting anybody take any energy away from that.
As far as the fight, obviously, when Geoff Neal's on and he's fighting at his best, we've seen what he can do in there and how good he can be. But there's been health stuff, kind of ups and downs. What are you expecting from him? Are you thinking that he's going to come into this at the absolute peak, or is there some questions around just kind of where he's at?
He better show up on fucking weight. That's the first thing. Otherwise, I'm going to sit in the sauna with him and watch him cut that extra bit of weight while I sip a drink in front of him. We're not playing any games where you have two jobs to do. You sign up to make weight and you sign up to show up on the night. That's what we're here to do. I feel like, look, Geoff's a phenomenal fighter. He's tough. He's durable. He's been around this game for a while. He's fought some of the best guys in the world. However, I don't believe anybody's as fast as me, as technical as I am, or has as much in the arsenal as I do. I feel like, for me, it's a matter of time until he makes a mistake. I expect Geoff to be tough. I expect him to be there for all 15 minutes, unless I do my job well and I make him make that mistake.
And we know you're always a man with a plan. So if you win this fight the way that you want to, what does the rest of the year look like in your mind?
So this year is the year of committing to a title run, of proving to everyone in the UFC, outside the UFC, any fan that enjoys fighting, anybody that comes to the events, anybody that sits at these tables, it's proving just how good I am. It's leaving no stone unturned, and it's doing it against the most dangerous guys in the world. I want to beat Geoff Neal in spectacular fashion this weekend. Then I'm going to fight Kobe Covington, and I'm going to retire him, and I'm going to rid the clown from the UFC. And then I'll take someone 3, 2, or 1 in the world. I'll beat them, and I'll earn my title shot next year.
Do you think Colby would fight you?
I think he has no other choice. When I beat Geoff Neal on Saturday, there's only one choice, and it's what I say. And
last question, kind of a random one. It seems like some places you're named Ian Garry, other places it's Ian Machado Garry. What would you prefer us as media to call you, write you in stories and stuff? What do you want to be?
Ian Machado Garry. That's my name. It was UFC before. It was Ian Garry before I got into the UFC because I didn't get married. I'm married now. I have a family. Our names are Machado Garry.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. How are you, Paul?
Good, thank you. Ian, when you first got to the UFC, you even kind of embraced the new Irish star, a lot of comparisons to Conor, but you've embraced Brazil, which is something that he clearly didn't do. He went there and stole Aldo's belt. So I'm curious, we know that you have family there, but how did this sort of genesis to move down there begin, and was part of that to distance yourself from the Conor comparisons? Well,
firstly, he had a motive and a plan to do that, and what he did that day got into someone's head and essentially won him a fight. So that's phenomenal, and that's completely different. But the comparisons to Conor and everything that anyone could say is comparing me to an inspiration, an idol. I can only ever take that as a positive. But when you talk about connections to Brazil, my wife has family, my little boy has family that live in Brazil. I now have family with the Shoot the Box team, and the energy in Brazil is just different. You meet any Brazilian fighter or their team, you can see it and you can hear them from a mile away. It's different. The energy is very vibrant, very passionate, very colourful. And we've seen some of the best fighters in the world come out of Brazil, and it's because of that energy. So for me to be in Brazil and training with the likes of Shoot the Box and Charles Oliveira and doing jiu-jitsu with Damian Maia, it can only mean one thing for me, and it's success.
You know, Ireland is a predominantly Catholic nation, Brazil as well. There's the scene in Embedded where you guys are all saying the Lord's Prayer. Is that sort of helped the cultural immersion moving down there, and has faith always been a part of your life?
It wasn't always a part of my life. I didn't really understand or realize the connection that I've had, but I'm very blessed to have a very strong spiritual connection, and I feel like Brazil only empowers that. And to have people in Brazil that can speak so beautifully about this spiritual connection. There's a little guy, he's in the UFC, his name's Felipe. I swear to God, the guy has Jesus in him. Like, he is Felipe Daytona. What's his second name? Yeah, Felipe Daytona. He's a UFC fighter. Lads, I'm telling you, that guy has got God in him. There's something different about the way that guy speaks. It hits you on a different level. And when you have people that care about you in such a special way, and that everyone locks arms, it was one of the biggest things that I seen before I went to Shoot the Box, was when Charles Oliveira was cutting weight in Abu Dhabi, and there's this famous photo of him, and he's lying down on the ground with the towel wrapped around him, and every single one of his teammates are all crossed arms saying that Lord's Prayer. There's no way you can't feel that energy, you can't absorb it, and you cannot go out and do amazing things with that.
And the first time you were booked to fight Geoff, the T-shirt became kind of a talking point. How is Ian Machado Garry different now than the guy who came out with the T-shirt?
The T-shirt was a fucking laugh, and it worked. He didn't show up. I believe he was pissed for that first fight and didn't show up because of the T-shirt. Look, I have zero regrets in ever making that T-shirt. It was funny. The truth is, nobody knew who Geoff was. No one knew the fight was booked until I made a T-shirt and everybody started talking about it. So if we're in the fight game and we're trying to sell fights and entertain, after that point, everybody knew about it. Before that, no one knew.
Ian over here.
How are you?
Good, what about you?
I'm good, good. Excited to be back, man.
Same here. Obviously, you just mentioned your connection to Shoot the Box.
Yes.
You actually started talking with Diego Lima over Instagram,
Yeah.
as you guys posted on your last video. So when you guys started talking and kind of establishing that connection, did you guys ever envision that it would become what it is now?
I feel like anywhere I go in the world, I want to make good connections. Wherever gym it is in the world that I'm traveling to, I only go there with a positive and good intent to learn, to grow, to experience a different culture, a different energy. And the truth is, as a fan of Charles Oliveira and as a fan of Shoot the Box, what I've seen is nothing compared to what I know now. The energy is different. The people in that building are different. They're so grateful. They're so excited to be there every day. And it's an amazing energy to be around and to get excited by when you're leading up to a fight.
That's awesome. And obviously, we were supposed to see you compete at UFC 296 against Vicente Luque. So my question in regards to this is, how were those conversations like with Vicente when the news came out?
So I haven't spoke to Vicente since then. More because I was more pissed off than anything that I didn't show up. Because the truth is, and this is where it hurts, right? I hear people say that they were excited to see me. I hear people to say that they flew all the way from Ireland, England to watch me fight. Yes, so did I. I flew here to fight, and I didn't get to do what I love. There's nobody more annoyed or upset than me. And that's how I felt. So for me, it's just unfortunate. I had to deal with it. I had to get over it. I had to heal from it, recover from it, and here we are. That's it.
Fair enough. And the UFC hasn't returned to Ireland in a long time. And obviously, when Conor does fight, it's mainly Las Vegas or occasionally in New York and Abu Dhabi. So do you think you're going to be the guy that brings the UFC back to Ireland?
I goddamn hope so, man. I hope. I've been saying it. I've been talking about it. I fear that I'm going to get too big too quick and they're never going to go back. And the truth is, I go out here and I bury Geoff Neal into the ground on Saturday night. Is that already past it? Is Ian Garry too much of a star at that point to go back? I will do everything in my power to make that happen. I've told Dana, I've told Hunter, I've told everybody, I want to be the guy that brings the UFC back to Ireland. I feel like I've earned it, I've deserved it. Maybe we just have to do 1 or 2 more.
So maybe like a perfect scenario would be here, you make the statement on Saturday and maybe fight for like a title eliminator in Ireland.
That would be fire. I'd sign up to that in a heartbeat.
And obviously, I see your adamance towards fighting Colby Covington, but before you used to mention Wonderboy Thompson's name a lot, so is that kind of off the table for you?
I don't think Wonderboy's ever going to say yes to me.
Fair enough. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Ian, back here.
How are we, sir? How are you? Good to see you again.
It's great to see you as well. I want to ask you, training at Shootbox, just talk about what that experience is like, getting in there, doing rounds with the Charles Oliveira, going to the mat with the legend in Damian Maia. Just what's that like?
It's an insane amount of knowledge that I can only learn from, and it's something that I'm excited to show in the next however many months until I need to show it. I want to make sure that I have as good of a ground game as I do stand-up. And if I can mold those two together, I become one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet.
I want to ask you a bit, with the shirt, with some of the things, Ian Garry, we know to be a family man, a kind man with a sense of humor. For the media, and sometimes, like you said, a bit of the motive, would you say you're one of the heroes, or would you say you're one of the villains when it comes to promotion?
I don't give a fuck what people want to call me, a hero, a villain. I don't care what you want to do. As long as my hand gets raised and people are entertained and people are talking about me, then I'm doing something right. The truth is, there isn't a single fighter at the moment who's been more talked about. There's not a single person whose family has been more talked about at the moment. I'm number 10 in the world. I'm nowhere near the top. I'm nowhere near the peak of my career. And everybody's talking about me, my wife, my kids, my family, where we're going, what we're doing. I'm definitely doing something right. So whether you think it's hero or villain, either way, people are talking.
Is it ever difficult to deal with it when people want to say negative things and maybe, go more personal because they feel like you are starting to take some shots at them?
Listen, we can shoot shots at each other all day long, me and another bloke, but the minute he mentions... Here's the thing. Here's the 2 things that I'll point out to you, right? My wife was called a paedophile by Sean Strickland. No woman ever deserves to be called that, right? That's the truth. My son, the people that follow Sean Strickland, commented on a couple of my photos at the very start of all this hate saying, is the kid even his? I should never have to hear that. Now, those 2 things, they emotionally get me. And I'll get mine back. I'll thump the fucking mouth off Sean Strickland one day and there'll be nothing he can do about it. And I'll talk to him, I'll dance in his face, I'll do whatever I want, because the truth is, when we get locked into that cage one day, he's never going to be able to deal with me. But the truth is, I have a target on my back. I have the ability to stand here and shoot shots at anyone I want because this is my job. And they have the opportunity in return. So for me, when you attack people in my circle, when they don't deserve it, that's out of line. And look, Sean Strickland is not the fucking voice we should all be listening to. Do you know what I mean? He's deeply, deeply indebted with trauma. And he should just be silent and try to deal with his own personal issues himself. And that's mainly where it all came from. I'm very proud of who I am, of what I'm doing, and what my family is doing, traveling the world together. I'm very proud that I get to travel and spend every single day of this journey with my wife and my kid beside me. I'm very happy to be showing the world my journey through my social media. I'm very happy to have people like Diego Lima and Shoot the Box behind me. I don't give time to this negativity anymore. I turned off the comments on my Instagram because I can protect the peace. I don't have time for other people's opinions anymore. I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it, and I'm not letting anybody get in the way of that anymore.
Thank you, Ian.
I appreciate you.
Just over here.
How are you, pal?
I'm fine, thanks. With Strickland, obviously, he's a middleweight and you're a welterweight. So do you think that fight is even going to happen in the future?
Yeah, for sure. You ain't, there's no fucking man on the planet that talks about my wife or my family like that and doesn't get it eventually. The truth is, he's never going to be relevant again. He's lost the belt. He's lost the interest. There's a point at which I'll jump in on a short notice fight and I'll dance all over him. I'm far too quick, I'm far too talented, and he'll just be missing.
Okay, and obviously there's rumours of Leon Edwards maybe taking on Bilal Muhammad, possibly Hamza.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think makes sense?
Hamza doesn't make sense. Hamza doesn't make sense. It has to be Bilal next. It's the only thing that makes sense in the division. Usman, you could argue it again, but the truth is we want something new. We want to see someone else challenge for the title. It makes sense that it's Bilal. After Bilal, it makes sense that it's Shavkat. They're the two guys that are next in line in my mind. They're also two guys that earn it. They've earned it. And I feel like they're the two guys that are next in line for the title against Leon.
And just last one, who do you think's going to win out of the main event between Volkanovski and Topuria?
There's a lot of talk going around about the main event this week. Obviously, Topuria's undefeated. He's young. He's aggressive. He's hungry. He wants to be the champion. He's that person who's hungry to win, to prove how good he is, to earn that UFC champion status. Then you've got someone who's dominated the division for a long time against some of the best fighters on the planet. I feel like the last fight is what people are judging Volkanovski on. And I feel like that's very unfair to be judging him a week off the couch, or however long it was off the couch, to fight arguably one of the most dangerous men in the entire UFC pound for pound. So when I think of Volkanovski, I think of someone who's able to outstrike Yair Rodriguez, someone who's able to outpace Max Holloway, someone who's able to outgrapple and find a way to win against Brian Ortega. So until I don't see him have success in his weight division, I'm going to think Volkanovski is going to be the guy who's getting his hands around. I've seen it time and time again. He's able and capable of finding a way to win, even in the toughest of situations.
Ian, I just have one more.
Go ahead.
The welterweight division recently got a big pickup recently in Michael Venom Page. I know you're focused on Saturday, but do you see him as a guy that could maybe break into the rankings soon and maybe even a future opponent for you one day?
Who's he fighting next?
Kevin Holland in Miami.
There's no fucking way he beats Kevin Holland. So no. There's no way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Ian, so because the trash talk got so personal, affecting your family, and clearly has given you a justified negative emotion, has that informed how you approach trash talk for your future opponents?
No, I'll still talk shit. I'm that's the person I am. I'll talk shit. You wanna clap at me, I'll clap back. That's how I've grown up. That's the way me and my friends grew up. But there's a line. There's a line on what you say and what you do, and it's not trash talk to call my wife a pedophile or say that the kid isn't even mine. That's not trash talk. That's abuse. That's horrible. And no person on the planet deserves that. And I feel like we've seen it recently, and the two main culprits are fucking Kobe and Sean Strickland. Kobe bringing up Leon's dad, and Sean just being negative towards every single person possible. It shows a very dark age in MMA, and this is not what the sport's about. The truth is, we're fighters, we're martial artists, but the UFC is so much more. The UFC is about being entertaining. The UFC is about putting on amazing fights and building a fight. Who was the best fighter we've ever seen in this organization who's had the most success? It's Conor McGregor. And what he did was emotionally connect fans to his journey by talking, the build-up, the excitement, the fights. He talked the talk, he walked the walk, he backed it up, and everyone started to believe him. There's a fine line of what's right and what's wrong. And I feel like lately, the negative has started to overtake the positive. And it's not interesting. I don't believe that anyone here enjoys hearing the stuff that has been said recently. The UFC is full of amazing fighters. Let's talk about the fighting. Let's talk about the skill set. Let's talk about the knockouts. Let's talk about the build-up. There's some amazing stories that fighters have. I'm interested, I know that. And it's on me to go out and do my job and have fun. So this isn't trash talk anymore. This is just me going out there with business and proving people right and proving people wrong.
Were you aware of those lines before it affected you personally? or is this more of a new development given your experience?
Truth is, I gave my phone to my team and said, I don't want to know about it, don't want to look at it. I've got something to focus on. I've got something to work towards. I don't want to know about anything or anyone who's mentioning my name. And unfortunately, I just got sick. But trust me, I had the statements that needed to be made that week, and I'm livid more than anything that I didn't get to do it that week.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.